In the next edition of It's About Money, my guest will be Theresa Kusak-Smith, and she's a social worker turned entrepreneur, and I think you'll enjoy hearing about her. Hello and welcome to another edition of It's About Money. My name is Nannette Nocon, and I'm thrilled to have almost a lifelong friend, Theresa Kusak-Smith, who's a social worker turned entrepreneur. Welcome to our show.
Hi there. It's nice to be here.
So how long were you a social worker? What led you to become a social worker? And then we'll talk about the transition, but help me start with the...
Oh, what's that saying? For those that much have been given, much is expected. And I think it was my nature. I just always loved helping people. And when I was in college, I ended up being a psych major, and I loved neuroscience. And the idea of going for 8 more plus years of school to become a doctor did not thrill me. And so I started researching, and social work seemed to be a great way to impact families. And that's what I really worked with. So I was a therapist for 10 years. 10 years, yeah.
And did you have, what made you transition from being a social worker to an entrepreneur? I mean,
well, I think once a social worker therapist, always a therapist.
Sure. Yeah, you're right.
I think 2 things. I think probably everybody at some point says, wouldn't it be nice to have a little extra money? And we were married, my husband and I, and we'd bought a home. I think we sold the car, the stereo. We sold lots of things to buy the home. And so we both were kind of, he's a fundraiser, I'm a social worker, not huge income sources. And then our son was born. So then it kind of became twofold. Gosh, I'd love to make extra money, and wouldn't it be cool to be home and be the one to raise him and take care of him? So the truth of it is, it was ordained by the universe, because when my son was about 1.5 years, I had 2 life-threatening things happen to me as a therapist, where I had a butcher knife pulled out at me one day. Didn't know if I was going to be hurt or the patient. Got out of that one. And then another couple weeks later, I received a major concussion from a patient. And when I came home, I opened up a book about Mary Kay. And so that's where the idea was born.
Oh my goodness.
So I joined on a whim.
Yes.
And I think the luxury was I was able to do both for a couple of years.
Yes, okay.
Until I could really feel where I was supposed to be. And here it is, 24 years later.
That's great. So it's really the universe telling you what to do. You were given,
Amen.
because some people do extreme amounts of research, but this one was about the connection when you were looking for something else, and there it was for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm glad you weren't injured. It didn't sound like it, but
Nope.
that can be
Scary. Well, it was a wake-up call.
Yes.
That it was time to use my talents someplace else.
So describe for me, when you were getting started as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, how did that look like? Did you have to put some capital into the business, or help me create that picture? What did that process look like?
Well, I think I'm probably like a lot of Americans. There's a level of fear and conservatism about starting something new. And so one of the things I loved about Mary Kay is the low risk to actually join and go through training. And then the second piece was, how do I want to be a business owner? And in my case, over time, I've built my own little small boutique at my home because our competitors, or whoever can get it to you faster than me. And so that small boutique is guaranteed by Mary Kay 90%. So if I quit tomorrow, I could return all of my product that's 12 months old or less, and it should be that.
Oh my God.
And get a 90% refund.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I think my husband, and you can relate to this, he went, oh, that's kind of better than the stock market.
Yeah, right. Get your money back.
He's like, if you don't like it, you can actually get your money back and only lose 10%. This is great.
I see.
So I think, through discussions, we both went, wow, this is, it's a win-win. You get to test something out. You have a company standing behind you to support you, and you can run it the way that works best for you and your family.
I see. So having a boutique in someone's home is not exactly what others might be doing. but you have the...
Everyone chooses. Some people just do it because they love the product and they service a few friends. In my case, having a business, I love my boutique.
And so how do you choose, like, do you choose the product mix, if you will? Does that depend on the customer or your kind of sense of what it would be, the demand?
I think, well, I'm all about skincare. It's kind of, your face is your canvas, and if the canvas isn't in top-notch condition. So it's trial and error, I think, with any business owner. I was just talking to someone the other day who's a buyer for a local company, and she said, you know, sometimes it's hit or miss. You hope the sizes are right, you hope the colors are right. In this case, the line is pretty stable, and so, yeah, skincare and supplements, and then there's the color, and then some fragrance, and so it's a pretty stable line with certain categories, and
I see.
you shop accordingly, if that makes sense.
Sure. So if you shop, like I said, there's a 90% money back. So if you had made the wrong selections, they can do the... Or?
That's a whole nother story.
I got it. Okay, it's too much detail. Okay.
Well, just the only clarification I'll say is if I decided to end my business, I would return it all and get my money back.
I got it. I'm with you.
So,
Okay, I understand now.
If I make a bad decision, I have a great sale, I feature it, and before I know it, I'm like, wow, that's actually, I didn't realize what a great product that was.
I got it. So that's when you put your
marketing skills to test.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So now, when you were getting started, you had the chance to meet the great Mary Kay. I mean, so well known in just business world. So tell me about what that was like.
Wow, special is too small of a word. That was back in 1991, and I literally joined to make $50 extra a week. And then when I started hearing Mary Kay talk from afar, I thought, I have to meet this woman. What do I have to do? They said, well, you have to become a leader in the company. You need to be a director. And so that ensued a whole new path for me to become a director. And it was nice because we were a one-car family that turned into 2 cars, thanks to that. So because I became a director, I was able to go down to Dallas for a week and be trained by her and other top directors. And she is just one of the wittiest, smartest women who gets people. One of my favorite things that she said, and I think to hear her echo in my head versus just listening to a tape, but really knowing that I was sitting across from her being trained, one of the things she said is, imagine that everybody wears an invisible sign around their neck that says, make me feel special. And how true. And she built this company. There is so many direct selling companies out there today. I feel that Mary Kay is one of the premier companies because she was one of the first probably 3 direct selling companies out there, and the only woman to start one in the 60s, which was crazy. And so people try to duplicate it, but there's something you can't duplicate, and that is the whole philosophy is to go out to give, not to get, which is where East meets West here of social worker and saleswoman.
I see, sure.
Does that make sense?
Yes, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And every experience that we have always comes together for the next journey. You know,
Absolutely,
so that's great.
yeah.
So that must be, so this, the legacy, how does a CEO, founder of a company continue that legacy? Do you feel that, that the people affiliated with the organization just have that culture built in, or have you seen any changes over the years that you've been affiliated with the organization?
Oh, that's a great question, Nannette. Yes, she has left an amazing legacy through the leaders, and that's where I feel like I have an incredible responsibility as someone who trained at her feet to carry that on and pass it on, because it's not just the plan of our business plan, it's the heart of the company, the beat of the company. And she did amazing things to secure that, not only with the leaders, but we have a foundation, the Mary Kay Foundation. And since its inception, I believe The foundation has donated more than $28 million to domestic violence, some of it to Rochester, New York, Alternatives for Battered Women, and then to cancers that affect women research, another $18 million. So I think between the foundation and the leaders, the changes really have been minuscule because our business plan is solid and it doesn't really change.
So when a founder's a vision and really finds a way to execute that in a way that the directors, the leaders that are part of the organization breathe the same or have the same philosophy, that can continue is what you're saying. Yeah, that's great. So in terms of different distribution models, you know, obviously this is the reason why I wanted you to be a part of the show is to talk about a different way of making a living. In your case, it's having full-time work as a social worker, but then incorporating a sales opportunity, and that's to help people, women mostly. Do men use your product?
They do.
Okay,
they do.
So then women can start a business, be an entrepreneur. Is that model different today than it was when you got started, or is that similar, where people can do it part-time and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's the same model. Absolutely. I think when I started, I was working maybe 4 to 5 hours a week. And then, you know, I was able to make the decision when it was time to jump and make it a full-time.
I see. And then, so how do you, I imagine that you have people working with you. And so how do you make the selection on who gets to do who gets to be a part of the organization?
Well, that is a interesting question. I feel like I don't select. Again, I feel like they select me. Anyone who feels that they are motivated for something more, that has a need and a desire to make some extra money, who loves the product, and so there is absolutely no filter for who can join. Oh, I see. Man or woman.
I got it. So it's the first initial investment of a modest amount of investment of membership or whatever that might be called, and then just a desire to represent the product, if you will.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So it is really the hurdle, the financial hurdle of entering the business is not that big.
It really isn't.
So, and then if there's name recognition, that helps too, because you don't have to say what it is, and
Right.
people know the brand, if you will. So, so you've been a successful senior sales director for many years. Is meeting the founder what got you to be at that level? When you said earlier that what does it take to meet Mary Kay?
Yes, because I knew she wasn't getting any younger. I mean, she was probably in her 70s when I joined, so late 70s. So she was my true inspiration to become a director. I joined for $50 a week and decided, wow, I need to be at this woman's table.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Well, that's great. That's great, because sometimes we just need the inspiration or the push to get to the next level of what we're
Right, because I think sometimes we don't know what our capabilities are until there's that little nudge.
Right. And you do that for a lot of women. I mean, you inspire a lot of women. So tell me about that. I know you're not going to say that on your own, but I'm asking you that question because
that's the heart of this business that I love. I mean, half of what I do is just take care of my customers and their needs. And then the other half is leadership, raising women up. And the idea of taking women, Mary Kay always referred to people as these tight little rosebuds when they start anything, any new venture. And then as they grow, they just blossom and turn into a full rose. And so to have that honor to be with someone and train them and really help them gain the self-confidence to believe in themselves enough to create this business for themselves and to build their own customer base. It's a wonderful feeling.
So now, what about being a business owner? Is that something that you learned through the organization, or did you learn that on your own? Did you get management books, leadership books? inspirational books?
Right.
How
Well, the company has, they leave no stone unturned. So the pathway into leadership is guided beautifully.
I see.
So I
Okay.
was guided very well by mentors in my life,
I see.
both locally and long distance.
I see.
And then, yes, the hungrier I got for wanting to do the right thing for the next person coming up and to train appropriately, then yes, I started devouring books. But Mary Kay has just a wonderful plan that.
Oh, I see. So they really help you become
Yes.
successful, is what you're saying. That's great.
Absolutely.
So, it's a sales organization, obviously, and it's a way that people make a living. There's a lot of salespeople, and the model is different for everybody. Are there incentives that are given to salespeople so that they could reach? I mean, obviously, to be director, you have to get to a certain level, right? So, are there other incentives that people have, or is it just, well, we want to make people look good and feel good, and that's what we're going to
Well,
do?
it is a look good, feel
Sure,
good,
yes.
but absolutely, I think I'm guessing any good sales program has incentives.
Yes.
The car program is a fabulous incentive.
Sure, of course.
I've been driving free for 22 years.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that's great.
My husband, if he was here, said they are not free, I earn them.
Yes.
And that is true. That
Yes.
is true.
Yes.
Yeah, every 2 years you get a new one, so that's a great incentive. But yes, they have annual programs that they help you set a goal, so that if you want to earn the diamond ring or the TV for your family or the vacation, you can set those goals with that as an end zone.
Got it.
I want that.
Sure.
And then as a group, we just have fun incentives, whether it's going out together or little promotions. Yeah, we
Sure.
do fun things.
Which is not unlike any other sales organization. I mean, like you said, every sales organization has some sort of incentive for the people in an organization to do
And
well.
girls just want to have fun, right?
Oh, that's great. So, how would you say that that looking good has changed over the last 25 years? I mean, has technology helped that at all? I mean, has people think of makeup before as a certain way. Sometimes, like, oh man, I don't want to wear makeup because I get on my hands.
Well, that's true. Our product line has come a long way, baby. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't there when it started 53 years ago, but the research and development today for product lines are just amazing.
Yeah.
So technology is always on the cutting edge, and I think that's across the board for all companies. And so for Mary Kay, technology has helped in terms of the social media to connect and put ourselves out there has been fabulous. And to be able to have websites, all of that has helped the business. But I think it boils down to, and maybe that's just me, it all boils down to taking care of yourself. And that might be with or without makeup. I think makeup's the fluff.
Got it.
It's skincare.
Got it. Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. We'll take a quick break.
Okay.
My guest is Theresa Kusak, who is a social worker turned entrepreneur. I call this program About Face, and we'll be right back.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere will bring us wireless emergency alerts. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know, wherever you are.
And we're back. I'm Nannette Nocon. My guest is Theresa Kusak-Smith, who was a social worker turned entrepreneur. So thank you for being here, Theresa. I really appreciate it.
A pleasure.
So we were talking about the changes over the last 25 years, and in the model that you have, you can, with Mary Kay and sales of Mary Kay, there's different ways to sell. And there's so many boutiques and spas and different ways that women are paying attention to taking care of themselves. Have you found that to be like competitive in a way that it's harder to do business, or how has it impacted all these changes? Like massages weren't something that women or men used to get, but now it's people think about it on a regular basis. People don't think about spas.
Right.
About 1980s, maybe there were a handful, but now they're all over the place.
Right.
So tell me about the impact of that change. Do you feel in your business, or has then been none?
Oh, I'm sure there's an impact, and I think like everything, there's two sides of the coin. So I could either see the glass half full or the glass half empty. And in my case, the fact that spas have grown, that just has increased women and men's awareness to take care of themselves. And I think we all would love to go to the spa weekly, but we don't.
Sure. So, yeah.
And so what I love about a woman or a man being able to take care of themselves at home with a great product is we teach people how to take care of themselves, how to use the correct products. And so I think it really massages both industries because we're helping someone on a daily basis or in a crunch, you know. It's 5 p.m. and they don't have their mascara, their foundation, they're going somewhere. You know, we have that ability to get right out there and help them and that rapport. The piece that I love about Mary Kay that hasn't changed, and I'm seeing it now in the rest of the businesses, is that it's personal. It's one-on-one. And it's so nice to see the industry across the board starting to have that same philosophy, that it's all about the customer.
Sure.
But that is what, you know, when you buy from me, you get me.
Sure, sure, sure.
And I think that's a nice, intimate feature.
So basically, you're right. I think in the selling mode today, if people are in a service industry, I mean, your business is not service, it's product, but it's really the driving force is the service
It
that
is
you
the
provide.
service, absolutely.
So I think in the service model of sales today, or just taking care of clients or customers, it's about the personalization. It's about how the customer feels, how the client feels. So
Right.
someone entering the sales business, that's really what they have to keep in mind, right? Instead of saying, hey, if you got the best product to sell, buy it. It's more like understanding what the customer needs are and being able to address it. Maybe the solution is your product, maybe it's something else, you know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, right. So, so we talked a little bit about internet. How important is that? How in your business, how important is having an internet presence?
Huge. And I wish I knew the number. I mean, we as consultants can have our own personal websites that are run through Mary Kay, and it's just that added value, that added convenience that I think any company would tell you, that you can just go online and order your things. It's priceless.
Sure. So anytime, so a company that doesn't have a website presence really, or internet presence, is really dinosaur, right? Because if you can't find them
Right,
away, yeah.
exactly.
Because I know when I do business and it's hard to use, and the purveyor is not using internet or technology to make it easy to do business, I get frustrated. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Yeah.
you're trying to make a connection with someone, and it's like, can't you just email this to me? Because we've played telephone tag like 5 days, and it's like, this is the most inefficient relationship. And then you say,
Exactly.
geez, it's really valuable, so you want to make sure that you're there for you know, the customer, the client, and being
Right.
able to provide.
And the side that the personalization's great, but over here sometimes things just need to be delivered.
Sure.
And that's the best service and personalization you can do.
Actually, you
So-
bring an interesting point. So it's really the relationship, but then the delivery has to be quick. Like we're not interested in making the method a hurdle, but the personal relationship is what kind of keeps that
I think that's the
relationship
glue.
solid. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So it's a way to merge the two, because you can't really have personalization via the internet, but
Right.
you need it to in order to be out there, and it's just the way that we have moved as a society. Now, do you see yourself retiring, like from your business? Like a lot of, you know, I'm a financial advisor, and we talk about retirement, but then there's some businesses you don't retire from, but some people are like, can't wait until I'm 60 or 55 or 62 to retire. So help me like define that for you as an entrepreneur.
I can't imagine I would ever retire. There is a neat thing for people in our company who reach the level of national sales director. There is a family security plan.
I see.
For that lasts for 15 years. And so in that position, you do retire, and then you're paid for 15 years after that.
I see.
And whether that happened or not, I would never retire. I mean, if it's not Mary Kay, I would be writing. I mean, I just love life, and
Yeah,
I love
sure.
people.
Sure.
And so,
So what you do right now is kind of a means to enjoy life and give
yeah,
back.
someone once said, and I don't know if I can quote this right, that your work is not my life. my work supports my life. And that's kind of been my philosophy, that it's a must, but you're absolutely right, it's a means to an end. And yeah.
Yeah, as it says, if you love what you do, if you're passionate about it, you've never really worked a day in your life.
Right, thank you.
That's what I feel, I mean,
absolutely.
I have to practice what I preach and help people plan for their retirement, but I just don't really, I don't see myself retiring because I love what I do.
Right,
I'm
it's
passionate
fun,
about it,
and
yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I mean, you hope that you're not forced to do it. So, as a social worker turned entrepreneur, and as a human being, what is your most important legacy? I mean, you talk about helping women, turn from a rose bud, to a full, blown or open, mature rose, if you will. And what is the most important legacy, would you say, that you'd like to leave behind?
That is $1 million.
I
know. There's all of these thoughts floating around, but the one that just is coming to surface may sound strange, but my favorite thing in life and through my business, which is why I think I love what I do, is I get to look people in the eye and really pull out their treasure. Like, I feel like everyone has this incredible jewels inside of them. And so if I leave a legacy, it's that I have spent my life acknowledging the treasures that are hidden in every single person I come in contact with. And in my business, that my words through Mary Kay would continue on through other consultants and would continue its own set of legacies that way, but that it would be run with that focus of taking care of a person and really finding their essence.
No, that's great. You talked briefly about writing, so that's something that you might be doing as well.
Yes, I'm playing with that.
Well, I think that if you have a love for life, then you could just explore different things, different ways to fulfill your life's mission. And
Yeah, absolutely.
it's great that you had the experience as a social worker, and they do wonderful things. But then everybody has different calling in life that they pursue. So, and I love it too that through your organization, been able to give back to the community, like you said, alternatives for battered women, and also some of the cancer organizations. That's really great. So I think that for many business owners, giving back to the community that they serve is a truly integral part of continued success.
Right.
Yeah. So do you have any words of wisdom for our viewers who are thinking about going into business for themselves, in the sales business, but it's really about feeling good, but I just kind of wonder if you...
research is important, even though I didn't do a lot of that. I do think there's so many options out there to research what fits best with who you are, your personality. And then one of my biggest words of wisdom would be, make the decision first that you feel good inside, that you want to take this leap and try it. A lot of times what I hear is someone will be very excited to step out and start a business, but all their friends say they're going to fail.
That's not so good. Hard to fight all that. Yeah.
And they just slink away and decide not to, and that's so sad. And I know that happened early on in my business. A friend had discouraged me and said that I wouldn't be any good in direct sales. And had I listened to her, we wouldn't be having a conversation today.
Sure. And it's kind of memorable when people say those things, and sometimes it's kind of nice to overcome what they have to say.
It is. There was, yes, that was life-changing, absolutely. I sometimes think I should thank her.
Sure.
So I think those are probably my two big things. Do your research, see what fits for you, and make the decision. Don't let other people make the decision for you, because you know what your desire is and what your needs are.
Sure. And if your objective is to serve other people, that becomes even more powerful, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
To help in the world, make the world a better place, right? So, well, thank you very much, Theresa Kusak-Smith, for being a guest at my show today. I really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure, Nannette.
And until next time.
All right.
And thank you, our viewers. My guest again is Theresa Kusak-Smith. So thank you so much for listening to our segment of It's About Money. Until next time, I'm Nannette Nocon.